Call the meeting Board of Public Works to order Monday, March 17th in City Hall chambers. Excuse me. Item 2, approval of minutes from March 3rd, 2025 Board of Public Works meeting.
And second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 3, citizens' comments. Citizens' comment? Citizens' comments. Going 3 times, that one's done. We'll go to item 4, request to approve governmental responsibility resolution for urban non-point source and stormwater grants presented by Tim Cassidy, acting city engineer.
Thank you. Thank you. This is the governmental responsibility resolution for urban non-point source stormwater grant. The background, as in the memo in the packet, Strand Associates completed a stormwater management plan, TMDL, total maximum daily limit, for the city of Marshfield in February of 2023. This plan identified measures to improve the quality of our stormwater runoff that discharges to Mill Creek, the East Branch of the Yellow River, Beaver Creek, McMillan Creek, Scheuer Creek, and the Little Old Plain River, and other city natural resources, all of which ultimately drain to the Wisconsin River. The Stormwater Management Plan report outlined how the city can move toward compliance with US EPA and WDNR requirements by implementing stormwater best management practices. These BMPs can be structural, such as construction of wet detention basins, or non-structural practices, such as increased street sweeping. The plan recommended the city consider applying for a planning grant to conduct a stormwater utility feasibility study. A stormwater utility could be used to fund construction of these best management practices. At the February 11th Common Council meeting, a task order with Strand Associates was approved to assist with a DNR urban non-point source and stormwater grant application. If awarded this planning grant, the city would be reimbursed 50% of the cost of the stormwater utility feasibility study. The attached resolution authorizes the city engineer to complete necessary documentation and sign the appropriate documents on behalf of the City of Marshfield Common Council. This resolution is a requirement of the urban non-point source and stormwater grant application, subsequent grant administration if awarded. The resolution lists a few things that the city engineer can act on behalf of the council, including signing and submitting an application to the State Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources for any financial aid that may be available, sign a grant agreement between the local government, which is City of Marshfield, and the Department of Natural Resources, sign and submit reimbursement claims along with necessary supporting documentation, sign and submit interim and final reports and other documentation as required by the grant agreement, sign and submit an environmental hazards assessment form if required, take necessary actions to undertake, direct, complete the approved project. So the recommendation is to approve resolution 2025-12 and refer to the Common Council for their consideration.
I'll move to approve 2025-12.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments? Questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
Item 5, consideration of No Mow May, presented by Tim Rasmussen, Street Superintendent.
Good evening. I'm here to continue the No Mow May program. The city of Marshfield has passed a resolution in both 2023 and 24 to participate in No Mow May. Those interested in participating can do so by submitting their requests through the online registry found under the Community tab on the city's website. 2023 saw a total of 253, and 224 saw a total of 189 participants. Over those 2 years, we did see a small drop off in participants. During conversations with this board last spring, there were some initial concerns about the possibility of lawns left unkept after No-Mow ended in through the summer. For 2024 as well as 2023, I didn't experience any major issues with an overwhelming amount of weed ordinance violations to mitigate. I believe it was my predecessor's intentions to begin observing No-Mow because of the multiple requests that he received, asking the city to offer this opportunity. Those phone calls, fortunately or unfortunately, have dropped off since beginning this No-Mow process. In exchange now, we do get a handful of calls currently in opposition of the city offering this program. And I will openly admit that I'm not knowing of the current pressures to pollinators or what the true effectiveness of this program is. So while this program has little to no cost to maintain for the city, I would like to have a conversation with you guys if this is something you would like to continue. Other communities such as Stevens Point and Eau Claire have made updates to their ordinance to just make this a permanent place in their ordinance to offer this for the month of May. Likewise, there are maybe some reasons that you guys are aware of that you would like to not continue this, such as conditions that came up, pressures, or other realizations of the effectiveness of this program. This information that we talk about here, I'm hoping to help direct me for 2026, whether or not I create a update to the ordinance or if you're interested at all in ending the No-Mow process. So while I am here before you tonight to offer the opportunity for the city of Marshfield to approve resolution 2025-11, designating the month of May as No-Mow May and suspend the enforcement for weed control from May 1st to May 31st, I would also like to have conversations for you to give me any update of how each of you feel about this program and the continuation of it.
All right, we'll start out, entertain motion to approve.
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, any conversation? Go ahead.
I just want to say, obviously, by making that motion, I am in favor of continuing it. I would be in favor of making it a permanent ordinance as well. It's not only good for the pollinators, but I have to assume that it saves the city some money, at least for that month.
Internally, we're unfortunately unable to consider the same process that a homeowner would, just with the makeup of additional mowings and contracted mowings through the month of June. We do continue to mow our properties because of where they are. Some of them storm drains and stuff that do grow quicker than average yard, but just that makeup time in June doesn't allow us to truly observe it as a city in the city locations.
Go ahead, Rick.
So I thought the program was kind of a novel program. And I know the city of Sheboygan thought they would like to have a program like this. I know someone over there.
Okay.
And when I shared with them what we were doing, they thought, good, now we could model ours after yours. And to be honest with you, Tim, I was pretty naive about the whole process, the benefit of it. And I'm thinking bees need flowers, you know.
Yep.
I don't know, maybe a week ago, I was reading an article where bees, or the bottom line was that bees reside in the ground, and the month of May, without touching our lawns, gives bees time to come out of the ground. And I'm reading an article right now, UW La Crosse, where they're talking about the dangers of mowing your lawn while bees are trying to come out. So for me, the takeaway isn't necessarily, dandelions or flowers or things like that for bees, but it's just the process of coming out of hibernation in the spring, and the month of May is critical for that time period. So
yeah.
I support it probably more than I have in the past. And the only takeaway for me, I guess, is in the brochure that we have to help people understand the education side of it, is if we could put a line or two in there relevant to what I'm kind of learning myself. And that's the whole impact of mowing in May, when bees are underground trying to come out.
There are, I did research two communities similar to us that started the No Mow May process and then took it one step further. And that's kind of the direction I wanted to know from all of you, is to then see if there would be any interest in, I would update the city ordinance policy to make it more of a permanent staple in the month of May. Both the city of Eau Claire here has done where their provisions have the date of June 1st to October 31st. The city of Stevens Point clearly calls out that there would be the rules contained in the subsection shall not apply during the month of May 1st through May 31st of each year. So I would begin that process after approving this tonight to then bring back to you an ordinance update that would make this an annual thing that the city would observe.
I'll send you a copy of this article, just maybe a few reference points out of this. It seems like a pretty good study. So.
All right, I'll just mention, I am a strong supporter of this. We definitely need to take care of the pollinators. My biggest concerns in the past have been spending city money on the way we handle it through GIS and tracking. I don't feel that that is a wise spend for us to do this. It's interesting about the bees coming out of the ground and stuff. That is very valuable timing for that. But I've also heard, as far as the pollination goes, talking to some people in the agricultural community, that May isn't really our pollination time in Wisconsin. So, I mean,
yeah,
No Mow June doesn't have the ring to it, but in reality, I would be more comfortable with looking at maybe half of May, half of June, or something to actually get the biggest bang for the buck for what we're offering to the community here. I don't want it to be just some cliche saying that. I'd rather we actually make a difference with it. So, so from that position, I will vote no again, just like I have every other year, but I do support it. I just do not want.
I didn't quite follow the part that you, just so I understand the no part, or the part you said there in the beginning about GIS.
Yeah, because we're spending time with staff on the GIS tracking and this type of stuff. When we're already suspending the mowing, we don't need all that. Anybody that wants to do it can do it.
Yeah, the program is set up, so we did spend that the first year creating that, but it is pretty self-sufficient from here out. I was just in it here, going through the documentation. It's still up and active just the way it was as it was last year. I can search the month of May and the few weeks before the month of May to find the number of registrants and find their location on the GIS. So it is a pretty minimal cost. My time's probably the most out of everyone now each year.
Yeah. And like I said, I would also like to see it extended through a pollination.
Okay.
So just my personal input on it. Any other comments, questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Motion carries. Item 6, request to approve low bid for 2025 citywide tree planting program presented by Justin Casperson, Parks and Recreation Director.
Good evening. The purpose of my memo and me being here tonight is to seek your approval of the bid from Legacy Tree in the amount of $21,700 for the planting of 62 trees along South Central Avenue, West Adler Road, and East Veterans Parkway. The city of Marshfield was awarded a $25,000 urban forestry grant from the Department of Natural Resources to support tree planting initiatives. This project addresses the critical need to erase the impact of EAB by removing 75 ash trees from the public boulevards and parks. These removals were scheduled for this winter and they've already taken place, and they're necessary to kind of keep the public safety at hand. Our city has removed 742 trees and planted 581 trees since June 17th, 2019. This grant and planting will help address the disparity Planting locations were selected using the GIS tree inventory, prioritizing species and diversification, and considering space and utility feed lines. No species will be planted that compromises 10% or more of the current tree inventory. Legacy Tree submitted the lowest bid of $21,700 or $350 per tree, which includes a 5-year warranty. This is a great deal for the city of Marshfield. Residents will be getting and receiving an informational door hanger on urban forestry, tree benefits, as well as the care. A citywide news release and social media posts will raise awareness about EAB and tree care. This project will enhance our urban forest canopy, promote biodiversity, and educate the community on sustainable tree management. Upon fall approval of Resolution 2024-42, City Forester Rishevik successfully obtained a $25,000 grant to fund the tree plantings. A budget resolution is still required through the finance, budget, and personnel to kind of get that finalized. So our recommendation is to approve the low bid from Legacy Tree in the amount of $21,700 for the planting of 62 trees along South Central, West Adler, and East Veterans Parkway, and authorize the execution of a contract. Included is the information as well as the contract, as well as the locations in the map on the various tree plantings.
Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Any comments or questions?
I have one. So just doing the math, this is $350 a tree. And I wonder, at what point do you think we might be able to buy bare roots at a fraction of the cost and just put them in some unimportant ground somewhere in the city, and harvest them when we need them?
We currently do that.
Oh, you
So
do?
we do, is it 100, 50? 100 trees, we do that. We get those in the spring. We put them in a gravel beds at the street department as well as the zoo. We water them and take care of them throughout the summer.
Okay.
And then when they're ready, we do a fall planting throughout the areas. The success rate on those hasn't been great, just because of the harsh conditions that they're put in on these roadways between salt spray and the vehicles and the heat. The success rate hasn't been super great. So we've been more successful in putting them in less traveled areas as well as parks.
Yeah.
But we've already planted about 100 bare root trees each year. This is kind of going above and beyond a new construction.
Is that part of I'm glad to hear that. I didn't know that. But is that part of the reason we have those white insulator protectors around trees, or like?
That's kind of to keep deer from foraging on them. They like to eat the woody material in the winter,
Okay.
and they'll eat a tree right down to nothing. So we put those tree protectants to give them some sort of chance, as well as rabbits that will chew on the bottom.
Okay, real good. Thank you.
Anyone else? I just had one question about this, Justin. Do we cross-reference when these trees are planted on terraces or stuff? I know we've run into stuff in the past with tree roots infiltrating storm or sewer or water going to houses. Is there a cross-reference that happens through that process when these are done?
Yeah, so we look at all utility conflicts, drive conflicts, as well as future construction projects that might be taking place in and around that road in the future. The goal is to plant this tree as soon as the road is built, assuming that that shouldn't be touched for the next 25 to 30 years. There shouldn't be any disruptions. So yeah, definitely it's looked at. I know Mark works closely with Tim and the engineering department to see if there's any conflicts, as well as Marshfield Utilities.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you. All right. Any more? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, request to approve low bid for the cemetery maintenance building roof replacement, presented by Justin Casperson, Parks and Recreation Director.
Thank you again. The purpose of my memo is to seek approval of the low bid from John Altman Builders LLC in the amount of $6,900 for the replacement of the roof at the cemetery maintenance building. The approved 2025 budget included the replacement of the roof at the cemetery maintenance building. The building itself entails the removal of the roof and then replacement of I can't talk, asphalt shingles, as well as the dormer that's there. The building is a single-story maintenance garage. The cemetery maintenance building is the main area where equipment, supplies, and materials are kept. The city is responsible for a 57-acre cemetery that includes the Catholic and Lutheran sections. Of course, the building is critical for the maintenance of those properties. The city received 4 bids, which is noted in the memo. The bids were reviewed with the low bid of John Altman, and everything looks to be in order, as well as he's able to do the work in a really quick fashion. So our goal is to approve low bid by John Altman of $6,900 and the execution of contracts.
Sounds good. We'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
All right, any questions?
I'll have one, because Derek's not here. This is a question he would ask, but you've got an anomaly at 18,500. What, is that just not in their wheelhouse, or?
Well, the specifications were detailed in there. Not sure why they were so much higher. I didn't call them to ask that question. I just didn't have enough time to wonder why they were. But you can see the other 3 are really competitive, and that one was an anomaly.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, set time and date for April Board of Public Works meeting presented by Tim Cassidy, Acting City Engineer.
So the April meeting, the Tuesday is the 1st. So normally, the board would meet a week before first council meeting. First council meeting in April is the 8th. So the board would meet the 31st of March instead. So the Board of Public Works meeting would be April, would be March 31st and April 14th.
Looking for a motion? So
I'll make a motion that my last Board of Public Works meeting be on the 31st of March.
I'll second.
Word just like that, Tim.
any questions, concerns? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 9, recommended items for future agendas. I see nothing. Item 10, take a motion to adjourn.
Oh, second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.